I exposed my ex-husband's lies to our son.
That might be a little messy.
Trigger warning, verbal abuse, and mentions of violence. When our son was around 8 years old, my husband started acting different, more secretive and accusing. Me talking with a guy friend or being friendly to the barista equaled straying eyes. I found out a couple of months later he was having an affair with his coworker.
The classic projector's move.
And by the way, this comes from Action 3477. And if you want to submit your own stories, submit them. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. But OP says, I immediately filed for divorce and left him. And we had joint custody of our son. Of course, I constantly reassured him that the divorce wasn't his fault. I didn't want him to hate his dad because of his love for me. So I just lied about the reason and said that adults grow apart sometimes and that's just how it is. But for some reason, he was never convinced.
Well, I mean, how old was the child?
At the time, 8.
Yeah, that's not really the right age to tell your kid, hey, your dad cheated on me.
Yeah.
Let's learn about the wonderful world of infidelity at 8.
It's tricky. Well, I now know the reason. Years have passed. I just found out that my son thinks the divorce was my fault.
No!
Like every time his mom is like, don't worry, sweetie, it's not your fault. And he's like, I know, it's yours.
Oh, no.
That's tough. I was livid when he mentioned it to me, not mad at him, of course. He told me that ever since I started dating my new boyfriend, his dad revealed the truth of the divorce, which is that I got paranoid, disrupted his work life, became distant, and best of all, I cheated on him.
Ah, the classic switcheroo. Oh
yeah.
boy, buddy, you're going to get exposed.
I can tell you right now, I did not. I confronted that piece of crap and he got flustered, started screaming, cussing out his own son in the process.
Hey, he gets the medal for Worst Dad Award.
You suck, dude. He told me that it's all because I didn't forgive him and that I'm rubbing my new boyfriend in his face.
Gotta love that just existing and moving on is then rubbing it in your face.
I cheated on you and you moved on and that's not fair. I'm literally not. I don't want the two of them mingling. So of course I came back home and told my son the whole truth. He's refusing to talk to his father now and doesn't want to go over to his house. I'm being cussed out by his side of the family for ripping a father away from his son. Not what she did.
Classic. That's a classic shoot the messenger type situation.
But I couldn't care less. Any advice? And there are some comments, but you're very much not the a-hole. Your ex lied to your son.
Yeah.
Said that you cheated. And then when you clarified, because you weren't even going to tell him all of the gory details.
Right.
Your ex-husband did that. And so you just stepped in and clarified. He was already setting the precedent.
And I assume he's still around that age? Like, I don't know how much time
I
is going
can't imagine
by.
it's been that long.
The advice I would give is straight up just like, because it is still his dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's emotional right now because he was lied to, and it's because his dad did a bad thing. But I guess I would, just try to be like, however you feel about this situation, just reassuring your child, however you feel is okay.
Yeah.
Don't let the hate consume you, young Anakin Skywalker.
Absolutely.
Because he is still your dad, and people are still human, and it's
However, dad did cuss out child.
Okay.
So clearly, it's not just
is a great point.
that he's a bad person / bad partner. He's also seemingly maybe not the best dad either. But yeah, I think don't encourage that.
Don't turn him into Darth Vader is my only point.
Comment 1, classic FAFO. He became exposed as the bad guy while trying to frame you. I'm glad your kid is smart enough to know who the liar is and who the victim is. Reply, the fact that he even asked shows his character. He may have had feelings about it in the moment, but he asked for clarification to make a proper judgment. OP did not fail her son. Reply says, OP's son will remember that character throughout his life. My father didn't often talk poorly about my mom, but enough that I remember it and didn't like it. My mom, to the day, I am 41, has only slipped up 2 times and called him a name because I called her crying about how he is after I was an adult. She would say, I'm sorry for that, and continue to listen. She has character that I am so glad I learned from her. I have no doubt OP's son has learned character from OP already and doesn't know it yet. Reply, most kids usually figure it out. Like the old saying goes, you can't fool animals or kids. Second comment, I find it hilarious that the family was okay with him ripping your son away from you by lying and telling him you were the one that cheated, but are pissed that you told the truth and now your kid doesn't want anything with his dad, and rightfully so. I guarantee if your ex had been honest, your kid would have been mad but eventually come around. But since he lied to him and blamed you, I don't know if he's ever going to want to come around, and that's all your ex's fault.
True.
Boo-hoo for his side of the family being stupid collateral damage that encouraged the lie. Reply says, depends on if his family know the whole truth or not. Every chance he also lied to them too. And there is an update, but I think those are great points.
Yeah.
Maybe go and clarify with the family if you want to. You don't have to. You don't owe them anything.
And we've got a comment. I was a child in a bad divorce and they need therapy. My dad refused therapy, so I went low contact in my teens. I do think some level of family therapy could be good.
Absolutely.
Just because, I don't know, there's all kinds of information. It's like when you have like a bad relationship or a missing relationship with a parent in your upbringing, like it can create all kinds of problems like that. I don't know. I'm not advocating. I think dad's clearly a bad dude, like the way he's behaving. But
bad dude.
Only for the sake of the child.
Update. My son has gone fully no contact with his bio dad. As for his emotional state, the shock has subsided a bit and has been replaced with anger. When he made his decision final, I got an awful message from my ex-mother-in-law. My ex-sister-in-law started pestering my own parents, and my ex-husband showed up at my door angry and wasted. I've kept records of everything that they've done until now. I called the police and had my ex escorted off the property when he refused to leave and started to get violent with my boyfriend. I thought about hiding all of this from my son because he's had enough of a shock, but I figured that lying to him in the first place is what got us into this mess, so he knows everything. The good news is that they've stopped pestering me for the time being. I guess the police escorting my ex away from my house was a wake-up call for them. They contacted me once to ask me not to press charges and haven't contacted me since.
Wow.
And there is a second update. Clearly, they learned some sort of lesson. They were like, oh, it's so much more serious and he's going to get in a lot of trouble. And maybe us too if we continue pestering OP.
This is a bad dad scenario.
Bad dad. I mean, clearly it really doesn't seem like beyond telling your child the truth that you have pushed him in any sort of way to make any sort of decision. It's just that he found out that his dad lied and has made the decision to not have any contact with his dad. So, and maybe he changes his mind later, maybe dad steps up at some point. But for now, that seems like it's, the kid's decision.
Yeah. And
you gotta respect that.
It is his decision.
Yeah.
He's made it based on how his dad communicated with him and lied to him.
But there is a second update, back to the point. As it says in the title, I've consulted a lawyer who happens to be my boyfriend's sister. I'll start off by saying that the comments under my OG post were right. I remember a few people pointing out that maybe my ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law don't know the whole story. Yes, a lot of people are saying that, since my ex-husband isn't to be trusted. That made me realize how it's an actual possibility, and I ended up contacting them. Here's what they thought happened. Years ago, I cheated on my ex with my neighbor, went on substances, became paranoid, and took away his privacy. Current time, I'm jealous of the promotion my ex got, want to ruin his relationship with our son, so I feed him lies and cause a rift. Cherry on top, my boyfriend is a substance user and an ex-criminal who's a bad influence on my son. So he's just making up a whole freaking 2-hour movie plot.
He's writing an entire fictionalized novel.
This is Pulp Fiction. They're now going against their own son and have agreed to give testimonies if needed. Whoa, switch up.
Uh-oh.
You got them on your side. You just needed to spread the gospel around. Get that truth. I've been keeping a record of all texts, mails, and calls every single time he threatened me. The witness statements of my neighbors have been collected from when he came to our house wasted and angry. I have recordings of his behavior as well. A police report has been filed for harmful acts, trespassing, and property damage. I'm also requesting a restraining order as well as sole custody, which is super fair because your son doesn't want to see him anyway.
Yeah.
So let's get him out of your life altogether. I brought up criminal intimidation, harmful acts, and battery, as well as compensation regarding medical and emotional damage. Yesterday, he tried approaching my son after school ended. Yikes. Luckily, my boyfriend was already there to pick him up, so he interjected. Everything escalated when my ex started making threats against my boyfriend very loudly. He even cussed at his own son because he wasn't going to his dad and siding with the traitor. Not sure how my boyfriend is a traitor, but whatever.
Great move, Dad. Oh, your son's not on your side? Why don't you curse him out and call him a traitor?
Humiliate him in front of his school. That is really going to make him like you. He was threatened by security and finally left my family alone. Last night, he called me full on crying and sobbing, begging me to let him see his son and that he's so incredibly sorry. I felt guilty inside, but I held out, and I'm glad I did because his sobs turned into loud screams and threats. And there's a little bit left to this story, but do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the only thing you need to do is worry about keeping your kids safe.
Yeah.
It seems like your ex-husband is like in an acute state of like emotional and mental distress or impairment. The way that he is conducting himself, it's not a big leap that he could, do something crazy.
I mean, it seems like he already kind of is. Goes to, the school to shout at OP's son and her boyfriend. Has showed up at her house to the point where they've called the police, restraining order. Like, clearly this is not a stable person that you would want around your son anyway.
Yeah.
So I think keep doing what you're doing. Keep your son safe.
I think, I don't know if it's, I'm sure you could talk to like a lawyer or whoever you're consulting with.
Yeah.
But I think maybe, putting it out there that like, hey, if this continues, like we're going to move.
Yeah.
Like we're leaving town. We're going to be as far away from you as possible.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Hey, we'll go back to the story in a minute, but first we have some exciting news.
We're doing a $100 giveaway at the end of every public live stream. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. PST, and it is very easy to participate.
Just click the link in the comments or scan this QR code to fill out your name and number.
And we will call sometime during the stream, and whoever answers the phone gets the prize. So make sure you're there on the stream when we call.
Okay, back to the story. I feel heartbroken that all of this is happening. He may not have been the best dad, but he still was there for our son and acted like the father figure I wanted him to. Now it's all gone to crap. My son is so incredibly shaken up. I'm spending a lot of time with him, letting him cry and talk to me about whatever he wants. I'm thinking of putting him in therapy like I am.
Oh, he should.
Absolutely.
100,000 million.
He should have already been in therapy, but let's get him into therapy ASAP.
Yesterday.
He's gotten a lot closer to my boyfriend over this course of time as well. Everything just feels so exhausting right now, but I know that when it's over, I can hope to have some semblance of peace. And there are some comments. Comment 1 says, eventually kids grow up to realize who the problem parent was. Keep protecting your son and your family. Keep doing what you're doing. You're in the right path. Reply, even when it turns out that both parents were the problem, yet tried to blame each other, kids figure it out eventually because the toxic parent brings that toxicity into their parent-child relationship. They can't help it. Comment 2 says, how old is your son now? He definitely needs to know how dangerous his dad is, but depending on age, there are details that he may be better off not knowing right now. But yeah, definitely get him into therapy. OP says he's currently 17.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Big time therapy. He probably should have been in therapy since
since
initial divorce.
Yeah, wow.
And all of that going down as soon as he was lied to and then had to pick side and then all that came to light, therapy should have been on the table.
It's kind of crazy that all of the parents were, even though they were lied to, that they were all jumping on the bandwagon of, you convince your son to hate his dad. Like, he's 17. He clearly can make his own decisions.
Well, I don't know. I feel like a lot of time went on in the story, so who knows how old he was when that started. Probably wasn't 17 when it started.
I think he was 17 when they just found out that the dad lied.
Or
maybe 16, maybe not.
Who knows? Yeah. But bottom line is like, if you're the grandparents or, your son comes to you and is telling you all this stuff, it's like, well, you're going to take your son's side, especially if it sounds like that.
Yeah.
But at least they were, receptive enough to hear the truth from his ex-wife, OP, and be like, oh, yeah, that's extreme. We're sorry. We were wrong.
Our bad. Pi says, check with your lawyer about getting an RO, restraining order against X for your son. One that's either permanent or can be easily extended. Do it before he turns 18. Comment 3 says, how were your ex-mother-in-law and sister-in-law so quick to trust you over him? OP says, people don't like being told they're wrong, especially in matters regarding their family. But lucky for me, I have receipts. My story has remained unchanging, while my ex kept spinning his side further and further in an effort to defend himself in front of his family. If
He
you,
just kept adding more and more ridiculous information.
he is like, and then she cheated with the president.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, what? Which one?
All of them. The homeowners association, the country, the other countries,
And the prime minister too.
yeah.
I know. It's how did she do it? It's crazy. If you remember, I've been recording every single call he's made to me and keeping track of everything he said. I only mentioned the threats, but he eventually just threw away his facade over a call. He ended up exposing himself while telling me that I'm a monster for making such a big deal over such a small lie. Oh, buddy.
What?
Oh, buddy.
Come on, my guy. No, you're not my guy.
You're not my guy.
You are my not my
Enemy.
guy.
That was enough proof for them. I'm not a huge fan of my in-laws. Fair enough. I fully admit, but I'm glad the harassment has lessened because they withdrew. Additionally, my son told them in detail about how his dad painted me in a bad light first, while they were told by my ex that I was the one who started it all. And that's the end of that story. Dang. Well, it seems like we've done everything that we can. We got son on your side. He knows the truth. We got ex's family on your side. Now we have restraining order on ex. We're hopefully going to get your son into therapy. So it seems like everything is on the right track.
That is an absolute must. We must get the child
should have
into
been
therapy.
way earlier, but never too late. Never too late for therapy.
And I think we're going to have a call in now.
Yeah.
We're going to have a
Ooh,
nice
TikTok
little
caller.
to have some perspective on this story.
Yes.
Tamara, are you there?
Oh,
Tamara,
no.
are you there?
Tamara.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect.
I know you said, I don't know, it's up, if you're okay with it, I know you said you have a whole story, kind of similar to this experience. If you want to share your spiel or, what you would do in that story or you're related to that story, let us know.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly how the story started because I jumped in midway. But my ex-husband divorced me. Was a whole story, but he turns into a stalker.
Oh, no.
He came to my house. He banged on the windows and the doors. He yelled at me, at our kid as well. Getting the kid into therapy is really, really important.
Well, I'm sorry that happened. That's
very scary. Yeah.
It was.
Was there any intervention from police or a restraining order or stuff that was filed? And
I had to call protective purposes. I had to call the police. I had to get a lawyer. I had to get cameras for my house.
Oh, yeah, that's always a good move.
Yeah. Smart.
And then I had to document everything, which actually was the most stressful because dealing with all that and then spending your evenings when you fell asleep documenting everything and leaving everything, that is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But, I thought when I get through that, then I can have some peace,
Yeah, just looking out for the light at the end of that tunnel. Yeah, gotta hold out. Hold out for hope. Hope is always so important.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
thank you for
sharing that, and we wish you
The police did bring it up to the judge, and I got the restraining order, and he was ordered not to do anything ever again, or he would be put in jail.
Good.
So yeah, I have my peace now.
That's good. I'm glad that you have it now.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
And where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm from the Netherlands.
But again, thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience, and
You're welcome.
wish you the best.
Yes.
Wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
We'll start up another story in just a second.
My ex-best friend ghosted me when I needed her the most.
Come back.
Please. The other night, I got an Instagram message and was confused, thinking it might have been a mistake. It turned out to be from my ex-best friend from high school.
Whoa.
Someone I hadn't seen or spoken to in years. She was hoping to meet up and catch up. And by the way, this comes from user CNeedleworker161. And we're here to give good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do in a given situation. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. OP says, Hannah and I went to kindergarten together, and were friends on and off throughout our school years. Our moms were friends, which made it easier. I thought she was my person, at least until the summer before senior year, when my mom got sick. She got very sick and passed away quickly. Entering senior year, I was in a very dark place. Hannah was my rock, along with my other friends at the time. I was starting to feel better about myself, and when prom rolled around, I asked if we could go as friends. It felt right, and things were really starting to feel okay again. Until she ditched me at prom.
No.
One way to not get ditched at prom is to never go.
Did you not go?
Not once.
Oh.
Went to the after parties, though.
I only had one prom.
Well, there's two.
You mean Morp?
No, we had prom.
You guys didn't have Morp?
We had Morp, but we also... No, we didn't have Morp, actually. It got canceled.
Oh.
But we did have
who ruined that
prom.
for you guys?
What is Morp?
Don't worry
Prom
about
backwards.
It's prom
Anywho.
back.
I guess she and a couple of our other friends had agreed to a slumber party without me. I felt so embarrassed. No goodbye, no sorry. It was even worse when I had to call my older sister to give me a ride home.
Aww.
I can still see her disappointment.
Aww.
Well, that's really more on your older sister for not just like being able to comfort you in a moment of
Yeah.
high school embarrassment. Even worse, the principal walked me to the car because I had asked him to check if my friends had left prom. When I asked Hannah for an explanation at school, all she could say was she was tired. Quote, "You've become toxic with your sadness. Every day you cry and whine about missing her.
Dang.
I loved your mom too, but you make it so hard to be around you."
Whoa.
And that's someone
Whoa.
exposing themselves as not your real friend, dude.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's like, even if you're like, wow, this person, it's like very hard to comfort them. Their grief is just like so much for me and I don't know how to handle it. Why would you ever say that?
Yeah, that's mostly an inside thought. And
That's
look,
like, oh, it's really tough.
there is something to like, it is a strain to be like in a constant state of grieving with someone else.
It is.
But that's not how you express that.
No,
Because they're also teenagers, you know?
Yeah.
They're like 17 in this, so it's like...
I just can't imagine like ever as a 17-year-old
Yeah.
seeing a friend grieving and having a tough time with it. But
Yeah.
saying that.
At 17, you know that
Yeah,
you're
you're
being
like,
emotionally devastating by saying that.
Yeah.
I honestly could not breathe after hearing that. How does a kid respond? I ended high school with no friends, and it wasn't made easier by the fact that she never told her mom. On graduation day, Hannah's mom gave me flowers and thanked me for being her daughter's friend.
Oof.
I told her the truth about prom and walked away before I began to cry. I left all those things behind me, and now she has the audacity almost 10 years later to try to patch things up. I can't. At least, I don't think I can. We spent so much of my childhood together that I just don't know. She looks like she's done well for herself, so maybe she's changed, but I was really hurt, and I don't think I've recovered from it. Any advice, please? And there are some relevant comments here.
I don't think you owe her anything. I think there is a chance that she does genuinely want to apologize and want to, make up for what she said and what she did in your senior year. Because, yeah, she shouldn't have said that. She should have known better at 17, but she was 17 and maybe has since learned.
You learn a lot in the 10 years between 17 and 27.
Yeah.
One thing about apologies is, like, even if someone wants to give you one and you can receive it,
And it doesn't have to mean anything.
you don't have to accept it.
No.
You can say, well, I'm glad that you said that. I appreciate it. You don't have to then rekindle a friendship with this person.
Even if you decide to go meet her, that doesn't mean you have to be friends with her. It can be like a one and done meeting.
And you can let her know. You can
Yeah.
be like, what you did was actually so devastating. I really don't want to, have you back in my life. But I'm glad you now realize how devastating it was.
And it's whatever if you don't want to do that, if you want to do that, if you eventually want to be friends, it's like whatever you're comfortable with.
And there are some comments here. Eling Elcho, not the a-hole, she abandoned you when you needed her most and said cruel stuff that stuck with you for years. You don't owe her closure or a reunion. If reconnecting hurts more than it helps, you have every right to keep that door closed. OP responds, I think the only reason I would ever want to talk to her again is to see if her mom is okay. Hannah's mom had a stroke roughly a year ago and hasn't gotten much better, at least that's what I've heard. Professional Train 178 says, not the a-hole. Doesn't sound like the message was an apology. Unless the message was a complete apology showing self-reflection and with no obligation on you to give her closure, don't open the door to your heart. She will hurt you again. OP says, it was just a short hello, a gift from friends of Joey saying, "How you doing?" and asking if I'd be up for lunch to talk.
Oh.
Man, we haven't talked in 10 years, and that's how we're going to break the
I
ice?
haven't talked in 10 years. The last thing she said was, "Your grief is too much. Get over your mom's passing." And then the first thing she says after all of that,
Hits you with the,
"How you doing?"
how you doing?
I was doing fine till you sent me that. Yeah,
Ooh.
that doesn't sound very,
Promising.
yeah.
Yikes.
They had to rely on little animated short of Joey
Yeah,
saying that.
Little gif.
What happened to the friend group from high school? As far as I know, our original friend group broke up after high school because they all felt conflicted regarding everything that happened our senior year. I had some friends that agreed that my grief was valid. However, the majority of them agreed with her.
Yikes.
And there's an update.
I just can't imagine that conversation. I don't know, guys. I feel like OP is valid in being upset that her mom passed. And then everyone's like, nah.
Yeah, but it's like,
She's
like
such a downer.
Totally, like, she was so like, when we were at Brad Stevens' party, like she was just crying by herself in the corner while everyone else is drinking soda pop.
Get a room.
Yeah, come on, gross. Ugh.
Yeah.
Update. 6 days later, I made a post about a week ago regarding an old best friend, Hannah, trying to make contact with me. We were close growing up, but after losing my mom at 17, we had issues. I was apparently too much to deal with because my grief was quote-unquote toxic, and I would cry too much for anything. The post was removed, but I was hoping to give an update since people wanted feedback on how to approach the situation. Hannah messaged me Friday, again, asking if we could meet at the local mall food court on Saturday since we used to hang out there all the time. I thought I had to go to the mall on the weekend anyway to pick up an order, so I might as well hear her out. Of all the hypothetical scenarios my anxiety and stress had imagined, I didn't expect her to actually be there. Worst of all, with Christy, another one of my friends from school, who had been cold after my mom's passing. I hesitated to approach the table once I saw them together. We were all older now, which makes sense. Yeah, I'd be cautious too. It's like you're being ganged up on now.
And she didn't tell you. She said, "How you doing? Want to go get lunch?" And then she's showing up with a posse.
Yeah, it's like clearly she just thinks that this is all like it's in the past. It blows over. So you don't really care about that anymore, right? Because we were just kids.
Well, even at 17, she didn't see how much of a life-changing event this was for OP. So clearly, if this is how she's approaching it now, that has not changed.
I gave myself a hypothetical 30 minutes. Only 30 minutes. And I never have to see their faces again. I approached the table, we sat down, and talked. Hannah talked a lot. Apparently, our old high school teacher who ran the club we were all in together wanted to do a reunion. She couldn't get in contact with everyone and was curious if Hannah wouldn't mind sharing my info. Christy mentioned that I was the only one she couldn't contact. That's it. I anticipated some kind of catharsis to come, but all I felt was rage. I broke. I mentioned what happened after my mom. I mentioned how lonely I felt after being ignored and called annoying for grieving. I mentioned how it took me so long to trust again after the people I considered my friends just left me, that I would come home to an empty house after school instead of my mom cooking dinner or talking to me, and both Hannah and Christy were quiet while I stood there at the point of tears. I can't even remember standing up. I felt childish crying, but seriously, quote, "You send me a message wanting to meet to make amends just to tell me that you're only doing this because a random teacher we sat in class with for 30 minutes every Friday told you to." I composed myself. I wasn't going to have a mental breakdown in the middle of a food court. I needed you then, and I don't need this now. Hannah shut down, and I could tell my words had affected her. Christy just got mad and said there was no point in finding me, and this proved it.
I don't even want you here, Christy. You weren't even supposed to be here, Christy.
Christy, you're not. Go.
You're not a part of this, Christy.
Go.
Scram, Christy.
Go clean your room.
Go clean your room, Christy.
Christy, wake up.
Christy, wake up.
Come on, Christy.
I don't like this.
We've got a little more.
Christy, wake up.
We've got a little more story here. I think this was a perfectly justified crash out.
I
It sounds
agree.
like Hannah maybe got the message a little bit.
I also think maybe needed. Like a lot of people were saying don't even meet up with her, blah, blah, blah. I honestly think maybe OP needed this moment of like catharsis to be like, I don't need you anymore. You betrayed me. You left me. So long.
Couldn't care less about reuniting with you people. You all abandoned me when I needed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Christy's definitely got the, well, looks like someone's still a buzzkill. It's like,
I'm still a lame-o.
hardest thing for people to do is to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah.
Christy chalked up everything that happened in school to kids being kids. Okay, I said. I grabbed my things, lightly excused myself, and left. I cried once I made it back to my car. They have changed, but it's clear they haven't changed how they felt about how they treated me. Never once did they say sorry. They clearly expected me to just get over it. Again, sorry for the long post, but I hope putting this out there gives me the clarity I needed. Thank you for listening. And we have some more comments. This guy is awesome, says, you should reach out to the teacher and tell them what happened back then and now. I don't even know if that's needed, but
I don't
let's
think
keep
we
going.
need that.
Then let them know that's why you won't attend. OP says, the club teacher, Miss Diaz, was actually aware of the situation at the time. I had been telling her and actually had been attending the club only for events, but never activities. She accommodated me. I would like to get back to her to express my appreciation for her. Comment, what was the point of setting up a meeting? That crap could have been in a text message. Comment 2, total speculation, but I wonder if they thought she would be over it and accept that they were just kids and make everything go back the way it was. Yeah, clearly that is the case.
Yeah.
Judging by the reactions to OP telling them off, they know they were wrong and did something messed up, but still haven't accepted any accountability. Comment 3 says, I can understand both sides. I lost my dad and didn't have time to grieve because someone has to be present and do stuff, and it helped me in some ways. I didn't even remember what was happening in the first few days because I was extremely busy. But after that, I was just fine on the outside for work and for friends. I do talk about him, but without crying. My mom had it different. She feels more open and she wants to cry together and talk about it in such details that people don't need to know. She became surprisingly religious for a few months. Everything was about her grief, and it was really hard on people around her. I did suggest therapy multiple times, but her answer was always, I don't need therapy. I have family. And I can't talk about it with strangers. Family can only take so much. Family can't cry all the time, and it's became insufferable for them at some point, and I could understand that. And that's the end of that story. Grief is a heavy burden, and it can be a heavy burden for the people around you, and it's something that counseling can be really helpful for.
But regardless of that,
Yeah.
you never say what they said.
Not the way they said it.
Yeah.
You can express that in a way that's not...
Yes,
and you
like,
can
hey,
have
I
the
think-
wherewithal at 17 to not just be a mean girl about it.
I think they could say like, hey, like I don't feel like I'm able to give you everything you need. Or even going to a parent or a guidance counselor and saying, hey, my friend is going through this thing. I don't really know how to deal with it. What do you think?
But just like making it like asking OP, being like, hey,
What do
so
you need?
we know that you're going through a lot of pain right now. What do you want from us?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is, hard to be there all the time when this is like so all encompassing.
Yeah.
And just, coming from a place of love and care and just being like, hey, this is putting a strain on things. And it's not fair that it is, but it's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
But man, it's hard to expect that from 17-year-olds.
It's super hard.
But hey, the 17-year-olds today are smarter than ever, I think.
I would say so.
I think they're like smarter than ever and also more brain rotten than ever. But that's
It's a
not their
combo.
fault.
No. TikTok is giving them all of the therapy talk, but also all of the brain rot.
It's just the full spectrum.
I don't even know
what's
what.
really funny right now.
What?
Ian Watson just joined the live and said, hi, hey, Dakota.
Ian! Oh my God! Hi, Ian! No way!
Yeah.
Wow!
Who?
It's
It's
an old friend of ours.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
what a coincidental story for that. The
He
story
says,
was
hi,
about old
Illy.
friends.
Yeah,
That's
and the
crazy.
story was about old friends. That's crazy.
I fear we must say goodbye to our friends.
No one wants to talk to us about that story.
Yeah, do we want to do a call in on,
Does anyone have it? Yeah.
I can do a call in on friends lost, but yeah, high school's a weird time. I had a really good friend. Yeah, just a lot. I can't even talk about it right now. There's a lot of stuff happened. I'd have to coalesce that down, but we did kind of reconnect at one point, and it was just, things just kind of, I don't know. There are a lot of elements to it. It did torture me for a long time until I just realized that it kind of was, I accepted that it was kind of over and I had to move on.
Friendships are not always forever.
Hey, that's not Jeffrey Dean Morgan. That's Smiley Face.
Hi, so I have some insight on a story that is similar to this. I came to Canada to study,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I live right now. And I met a girl from China, and she approached me first, and we started being friends, right?
Uh-huh.
On my first year. So upon the 5-month mark, 4, she started to get really bad on her mental health. Like suicidal type thing. Like at some point, I think at the 5-month mark, it was my birthday, and she would send me pictures of her cutting herself.
Oh
Like,
no.
Whoa.
That's an extremely difficult situation to be in.
yeah, so she would send me like things like, oh yeah, I ordered this like knife on Amazon to,
Whoa.
Yeah, I think at that point you just got to reach out to their, if they
Yeah, any
their family
parent,
or
any
or
guardian.
if you're in school, like reaching out to, the administration
Yeah.
or the
yeah.
what am I
so-
Guidance counselor.
yeah, the guide like counselors and stuff within the school. Cause that's a crisis.
Yeah. How did you deal with that?
Okay, so the thing is like she started going to therapy. I did not know her family because she didn't have a good relationship with them because, well, her family met the Asian stereotype type family. So they was just like worried about her performance in school, but not her mental health or anything else. So I reach out to professors like on small classes we had together, and like I'm concerned about her, and like she would go to therapy, but she wouldn't give me her psychiatrist's phone number because she would go but not take the medication or just don't want it to go and like gave up on it, but she would put all the weight on it on me.
Yeah, it's really tough.
So yeah, I talked to her multiple times and I was just like, please go to therapy. I cannot help you with this. I don't have the tool to help you with this because I'm not a professional. I'm not a therapist or anything.
Yeah.
But at some point, I had like history with mental health myself in the past. And she was dragging me to this hole with her, like back into the bad mental health situation.
Sure.
At some point I couldn't like go with it anymore, even though I like reached out for advisors and advisors were like, oh, we're gonna communicate with her or whatever. I was like, I'm sorry, I told you multiple times that I cannot like keep receiving this type of pictures or stuff. Like I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I need to distance myself from you.
Yeah. I mean, there comes a point where you kind of have to,
Protect yourself.
you got to put your own, mental health above, you got to put your own mental health first,
Yeah, April says love yourself and protect yourself in,
Yeah.
in the comments there. Yeah.
especially once you've like taken the steps to try to be there and then it just kind of becomes weaponized,
Yeah.
mental health is very
Like,
complicated.
very
and-
different situation from the girl in this story who seemingly like approached it all wrong, whereas you tried to help, tried to get her like more professional help,
Yeah.
and then she
Yeah.
was taking advantage of that.
So yeah, I had like more therapy in the past, so I guess that helps. But yeah, the good things that like a year later, she left Canada and she texted me. She's like, oh, I wanted you to know that I'm currently in Australia, closer to my family. I'm doing great. I got accepted to I don't know what university.
That's good. That's good that she reached out and was like, I'm
Yeah.
doing all right.
Yeah, no, just like I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you're okay now.
Yeah, that's all you can do. You can love from afar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and kind of giving us like that other perspective of when grief is too much for like one person who doesn't have like professional tools to help.
Yeah, so I was like on the other side of the story.
Yeah.
It's not related to grief, but still, I think that the approach you take is really important of how like the other
100%.
person deals with it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And where are you from? We're doing international today.
Yeah.
I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm from Chile.
Oh, nice.
From Chile
thank
to the
you.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys.
My boyfriend spent the night at his ex's house.
Well, your house is about to be his ex's house too, I would assume.
Trigger warning for unwanted forceful advances. My boyfriend, 28 male, and his ex were together on and off for 3 years, and they broke up officially around this time last year. I, 25 female, am still friends with one of my exes, so I didn't really think anything of it when he told me he was still friends with one of his. By the way, this comes from Yodi Yodi, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit, and we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, they don't hang out alone. They only hang out with their close-knit group of friends. I've met them all, and they're really nice people. I've never had any reason to doubt anything he's told me. He has been cheated on by this particular ex, and it really shook him up. Otherwise, they'd probably still be together. I don't think he would ever cheat on me or anyone else. He's just not coded that way. That said, he and I were supposed to hang out last night after work, but I couldn't get a hold of him. His phone was either turned off or the battery was passed away. Either way, my night was put on hold for hours until I finally decided to just eat out by myself. I was already dressed and ready to go, so I left, grabbed some pho, and came home to find 0 texts or calls from him. I had left my phone at home by accident. He didn't get back to me, nor did he stop by the apartment, according to my roommate. On a whim, I popped onto Instagram to see what he was doing, if he had posted anything that day. I was partially worried something bad had happened to him and partially suspicious. I've never had any reason to feel suspicious of him before. As I scrolled through Instagram, however, I noticed that his ex had posted something. For whatever reason, I follow her and she follows me. The photo was taken at his favorite restaurant. She took a photo of her dessert, and you could clearly see him in the background, seated across from her, his elbows on the table.
Oh, that means he's at attention. Elbows on the table. He's leaning forward. He's
It also
like,
means
"Tell
he's
me
got
more."
no manners. Elbows on the table
Ooh.
during dinner.
Ooh.
Maybe he's a little tired. I don't know.
Mannerless.
She made the post hours before he and I were supposed to hang out. In the image description, she mentions having a movie night, ... with him. One of their friends whom I've grown close to commented with a question mark. There was no reply. I was kind of numb at that point. I wasn't sure what it meant, but I knew he was doing something he shouldn't have been, and that he had blown me off in the process. Again, this was completely unlike him. It could have been that he simply forgot our plans. We organized it a week prior, which is long enough to forget. That said, I'm his girlfriend. He should remember. He should at least make sure he's reachable. I went to bed last night feeling sick with worry, and when I woke up this morning, I found 5 texts from him saying the following. Hey, sorry, I forgot we had plans. Kathy and I marathoned Westworld and I fell asleep. My phone passed away. I'm an idiot. Please forgive me.
You marathoned Westworld?
Kathy's the ex. You're marathoning HBO television with your ex?
And Westworld?
Marathoning any series.
Dude, do you know how many naked ladies are in Westworld?
Do you? Like,
Lot
do you
of
have an
naked
exact
ladies.
count of the naked ladies in any
7.
given show?
7.
I don't know.
Several.
I've only seen the first season of Westworld.
My magician's talent is knowing all of the nudie people in every single show.
And this show...
No, do your eye flutter. Do your eye flutter.
30. How
From
about I
what?
pick you up tonight and we go to that new sushi place on Main? Just you and I. I love you. I don't really know what to think. He has always made a point to never hang out with her alone. Westworld can't wait, OP.
I'm not doing a single thing until I finish all of Westworld with my ex-girlfriend.
He hasn't made any promises to me in explicit words, but when he and I first got together, he told me things between him and Kathy were completely finished and that he had no desire to hang out with her alone anymore.
To be fair, it really could just be, because the first season of Westworld is that good.
It's pretty good.
Just be like, every time I was like, this is the last episode. Oh, the ending was so good. I had to watch the next one.
Stop. He said the only reason they still occasionally see each other is because they're part of the same social circle. It's the same with my ex and me, except I've never hung out with him one-on-one post-breakup.
Yeah.
And I don't plan on it. I replied asking if anything happened between them, and he said, no, of course not. I would never do that to you. But he would make himself unavailable for hours without even thinking to say hi to me all day. Our plans were for 8 o'clock. Unless he's had a rough day at work, he usually stays up much later than that. Except he didn't have work yesterday. So I don't understand how he would magically fall asleep so early in the night. I trust him, but at the same time, I feel betrayed and I need advice. And there are some relevant comments, but what do you think?
I think any universe in which your current partner that had an on-again, off-again thing with their ex for 3 years, then spends the night without telling you and then tries to be like, oh yeah, we were just watching Westworld. That's like, hey, you've used all 3 strikes at the same time and you were
Truly,
done.
regardless of whether or not you cheated, which it seems like OP does not. He think he cheated, so we're going to operate on that. He still completely betrayed your trust. Like, you guys were on the same page about hanging out with the ex alone. Clear that he, violated your agreement.
It just speaks to some level of like intention or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like I maintain like a positive relationship with like some of my exes, but I would never be like, oh yeah, I spent the night at my ex's place and we watched Westworld all night and I didn't text you and I forgot. Oh, oops, let's go get sushi.
Yeah, when we had plans.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. They already had plans together. So it wasn't even just that he spent the night at his ex. He did it instead of with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Relevant comments. Suki says, yeah, I don't believe a word of his explanation. He has no desire to hang out with her alone anymore, and yet that's exactly what he did. He went on a date with his ex and slept over at her place. Unacceptable. OP says, exactly. Suki says, what do you think you're going to do? OP says, I'm meeting up with him right now. I just want to talk to him in person and gauge the situation for my own sanity. Right now, it looks bad. Unless he has superpowers, I can't see him giving me a valid reason for what happened. Spending the night with his ex, switching his phone off, and neglecting to contact me until the next day? No, that's not how relationships work. Onion Princess says, Kathy left his elbows in the picture on purpose. She knows what's up. OP says, good thing she's petty, or else I'd never have realized where he was. Throwaway says, what was his explanation? OP says he said he genuinely forgot we were supposed to hang out and didn't go into the evening thinking he was going to cheat, but he did.
Yeah. Of course he did. Spend the night with your ex. You spent the night with your ex.
Alone. Alone. The word
Alone.
alone. If it was like with a group of people, still bad.
No,
but-
he's admitting.
Oh.
That's why I'm shocked, because we just got the admitting in a comment.
Oh, wow.
But he did. Then he cried in front of me begging for forgiveness. I promptly gathered my stuff and left, blocking and deleting him from my phone. It took me a good hour to get the truth out of him. So yeah, he cheated for sure.
Well, you're the one with the superpowers, OP. You had an hour-long like police interrogation. You cracked him.
Mm-hmm.
You were a good cop, then bad cop.
Glimmering Girl says, shame on him for wasting an hour more of your time to pull it out of him. Glad you got the truth now. You may feel numb right now, but don't be surprised if the feelings catch up later. And OP says, thanks. This is the first time someone has ever cheated on me, so I'm kind of numb at the moment. Probably when I have to go to my brother's wedding alone this Saturday. Yikes. And there is an update 10 days later. We're going to get into that because he cheated on you, so there's really nothing else to say about that. Leave him.
You can always automatically assume that's what happened.
Yeah.
Honestly. And if it didn't, it's like, well, we're
still
breaking
not
up
okay.
anyway.
Yeah, it's still not okay.
What on earth is wrong with you thinking that is in any way, shape, or form okay?
He doesn't deserve to binge Westworld.
I hope that you get locked out of your account. 10 days later, I did not think I'd be posting an update, but so much had happened. My ex-boyfriend did cheat on me with Kathy, his ex, and I did break up with him. For a few days, he left me alone. Then last weekend, on the day of my brother's wedding, he decided it was wise to crash the reception.
Why?
He showed up in a full suit, made nice with some extended family of mine, and sought me out as I slipped away to use the bathroom. You won't believe how shocked and unsettled I was. I had blocked and deleted him from everything when I broke up, so I guess this was a last-ditch effort. Why he thought crashing my brother's wedding was a good idea, I have no clue. Regardless, I immediately told him to leave or I would tell the groomsmen to escort him out. He didn't seem fazed. He just grabbed my arms and said clearly, I can't survive without you. Seems like you were handling Westworld just fine. He looked me in the eyes and held on so tight it hurt. Oh my goodness. I went from unsettled to flat out scared. I told him I had nothing to say and that he needed help, but he acted like he couldn't hear me. He leaned in as if to kiss me, and when I turned my head away, he broke down crying, full on sobbing in the middle of the hallway. One of the groomsmen came around, recognized him, assessed the situation, and peeled him off. He didn't call the police. He said, listen, man, I've been there, but you can't do this. You gotta go home. For whatever reason, my ex listened. He left in a cab a couple of minutes later. I explained the situation to the groomsmen in detail. We decided to tell my brother after the fact so as not to ruin the day. Fast forward to last night. A week later, I was at home talking to my roommate when I got a call from an unknown number. It wasn't him. It was Kathy, the girl he cheated with. Apparently, after I broke up with him, they got back together. Yoicks. She called to confirm that he had crashed my brother's wedding. I politely asked her not to contact me again. She then screamed, called me names, accusing me of cheating with him. Girl, take a look in the mirror, girl. Come on.
Go watch season 2 of Westworld.
How dare you cheat with my ex-boyfriend's... Wait, he's my boyfriend.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't even make sense.
And insulting me. I have no idea what he told her, but nothing happened between us at the wedding. He tried to kiss me. I didn't accept it, and he got kicked out. By the way, we're not kicking you out of listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
block and move on.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the whole
And if you need it,
list of things to do.
if he keeps doing that, if he keeps showing up at places you don't want him at, restraining order. But there is a little bit left. People are now saying she's pregnant with his kid. It's a whole bunch of crazy, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with it anymore. The fact that he convinced me he was decent for 5 straight months is embarrassing. I can empathize with him in his bad place, but this is too much. I'm gonna get tested soon just in case, and hopefully I can put this relationship behind me. And final comments when asked about the groomsman who saved her. OP says, he's single, and we may or may not have danced together most of the night.
Okay.
Before and after my ex crashed the party, lol. That said, I'm not looking at the moment. Let's just say I need a breather. Sentient Cactus says, well, breaks can be the best, but as my mother always told me, don't throw away something if it tries to organically grow. I mean, you're making the right move, not jumping into anything, but don't work against it either. OP says, true. He asked if I want to grab brunch next Sunday. My roommate thinks I should get my head out of my butt and go. I want to, I really do. But I've only been single for a week and a half, lol. I was got to give it a few months at least. And that's the end of that story. Always be careful about jumping into things, but I don't know, just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, he,
You're not doing anything wrong. It's just like, is your heart ready? But that's the end of that story, folks. And we've got some comments from a past video that we're going to read.
Oh boy.
These come from the video, my disabled mom keeps criticizing my wife. And this was posted September 16th, 2025.
September 16th.
TLDR says, OP's mom found religion after his dad died, which helped her stop drinking, but turned her into a judgmental nightmare. She kept attacking OP's wife about not taking the kids to church, made his wife cry at their son baseball game, and demanded they skip Mother's Day to attend her church instead. When mom told his wife to grow a spine and threatened to cut off all family time unless they brought the kids to church, OP finally had enough. Mom ended up disowning him when he refused to cave to her demands, but now OP doesn't know how to tell his kids that grandma won't be around anymore. If you're curious to know how the full story goes, you can go watch the full video.
Well, comment number 1 by Acoustic Televisions. If she wanted them saved, then she can pray for them. If her God is right, then they will be saved on the basis of them being good people and or asking for forgiveness. You cannot make them be saved. A God that doesn't save based on trivial matters is no God I want to worship.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think she was just really involved in her church to a point where she sacrificed a lot of her familial relationships.
Oh, I
just
do remember
remember-
this. I do remember. She went.
She was like, you have to go to church and you have to skip Mother's Day to go to my church for Mother's Day's mass.
I remember these were. Yeah, it was like we were like what?
And like that's your choice. That's her choice if she wants to be that involved to that extent. But you are going to lose family members that way if you make it like your whole life and ignore the relationships that you have.
I have another comment here.
Mm-hmm.
Comment number 2 from Justice for Us All 7038. Surprised no one thought about the church intentionally making OP's moms alienate her support system. She's especially vulnerable considering her age and medical needs. Not saying they had more options, but that's how cults work, and that's coming from a Christian. When I meet people like this, they usually stop because I'm quick to ask where they're getting their views from the Bible. And they refute it with the same book, but I've been Christian all my life. I hope I never have to deal with that situation with my family.
I have family members who are also very religious and we have differing views and it can be difficult.
And another comment by Kate Marsh, 3774. I love that the church is boycotting Mother's Day by having a Mother's Day brunch to honor mothers.
Yeah.
My church always celebrated mothers and non-mothers who served others in motherly ways.
Well, it's just, I mean, I remember the story and it was the whole thing about like, they said something about having a Mother's Day was selfish.
Yeah.
Like that was
But she wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah, but they wanted to have a Mother's Day mass.
I remember
so
we were like
celebrate
the
God.
irony, yeah.
The irony of like the Mother Mary being one of the most important figures in the Bible. And you're like, you're not going to celebrate mothers on that day?
And last comment here by No My Spring 5105. The church needs to own up to why they boycotted Mother's Day. They boycotted Mother's Day because they don't get paid if those people aren't in their seats. Tithing.
But that's the end of those comments. And the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.